What's up, everyone? This is Snoo, and it is time for a day 2 review of my Ruthless with Gold character, which is a poison concoction Pathfinder. I have no idea where that stands on the meta. Probably should have checked before I started this video so I could tell you. I doubt it's even top 5, maybe not even top 10, but this character has been a journey. Started off really good, had some pretty rough times in the middle, and now looking pretty good again. So the moral of the day is, I guess you could call it a redemption arc. I definitely want to tell you guys about it. It was quite an interesting story to unfold, the way everything's been going out on the second day. The first day really wasn't nearly as interesting, other than, getting the experience of the Ruthless with Gold, trying to figure out how gold works, trying to get through the campaign with, terrible link situation. And for any of you guys who are curious about Ruthless with Gold, that's basically what your campaign experience is probably going to be like. It doesn't really matter what your gear is. It doesn't matter if it's white, magic, rare, unique. You just need to have your links. Whatever ability you pick, assuming it's some sort of meta ability, assuming it has links that would typically go with it, 3 or 4 links, that's going to make or break your league start or event start experience for sure. Now, you can run Cold Dot, which I guess is a set of abilities that don't require any links, so that could be a really good route. But for me, I still wanted to try and test out poison concoctions. I knew so long as I got the links to work, because I had already, tested leveling this character once before, I knew if I did that, I would be A-okay. And I was. It was totally okay. So I did the campaign a little slower, but it was much more comfortable experience. I already have my 4-link, I believe. Yeah, I already had my 4-link well before the campaign was over. Therefore, it was a pretty smooth experience until I started up day 2 and decided I needed to kill Kitava and get my final lab, the 3rd lab. So, of course, I wanted to do the lab first because I would be in a much better situation with my resistances. I have basically resist cap that were not going to be capped after killing Kitava. So I did the lab first, got Izaro down to about 10% life on the 3rd phase, and he offed me with a one-shot ability. I figured he would one-shot me if he clipped me, and that was totally fine, so long as I go in there and get it done very quickly. But I couldn't. Unfortunately, it took me about 7 lives and 2 hours, maybe 2.5 hours, to finally get that lab point done. Very frustrating, but a good lesson learned that, if you want that lab early, you're going to have to suffer the consequences of a one-shot. I've learned that I needed to put my minions away, my totems away, so I could handle Izaro from a technical standpoint, could execute the fight perfectly technically, and then it started to become no problem. Basically, it only took me 2 attempts once I, did the fight on a technical basis. So I got the lab done. No special thing there, except for a bow. Honestly, I think the most valuable item I found this entire time is probably this bow. And this is a 700 DPS bow. It may look kind of weird on surface, but, if you're someone who's using a Boyer character and you want a high DPS bow of any nature, that is going to be a top-tier bow. It's essentially the best bow on the market. I think even up until now, it still is. Almost nothing else even comes close to that. I know it's like a amalgamation of physical and elemental damage, but still, on a pretty good base for most characters. Perfect attack speed. Quite a good item indeed, but it hasn't sold. So my biggest sale has actually only been 3 alchemy orbs. I consider myself fairly unlucky, I think, with the fact that I've only been able to sell a single item for only 3 alch orbs. I see people selling things for more than that. Random rares, triple resist with a high life roll. I haven't seen a single rare like that, and I've picked up a lot of rares. A lot of rares. My rarity is huge, by the way. All the way up to 93% right now. Feeling pretty good about that. My gear situation is looking a little bit better. We'll look at that in a minute. But anyway, I got that lab done. And then I killed Kitava. One-shot Kitava, no problem. Then I got into white maps. And I noticed real quick that I was just getting one-shot very easily by any kind of monster. Especially physical damage. Big burly monster comes in. Whap. Dead. 5 or 6 little minions swarm in. Whoop, stun lock. Dead. Yeah, it was a big deal, a big problem. And it is something I kind of endure a little bit. It's a mild frustration. I deal with it normally on a campaign league start situation or getting into white maps. Personally, I find the white map, yellow map to be kind of one of the more infuriating stages of the early game, because basically the content is beginning to get kind of hard, kind of rippy, and you still haven't figured out your gear like at all at that point. Whereas like red maps is getting harder, but your gear progression seems to outpace the rate at which the content's getting challenging, if you will, and kind of play catch up in that way. So I had to, of course, stick around in white maps and play catch up a little more slowly, but I got things figured out, especially once I got some evasion. So I made a mistake, in fact, and I think the biggest lesson I could teach you guys is that you'll notice on the passive skill tree, at least for the ranger side, I got all kinds of extra just evasion, just percent evasion, global evasion. I don't even know how much global evasion is. Probably like, my God, it's probably like 500% increased global evasion or something insane like that. Maybe I'm off my rocker a little bit there, but definitely going to be a lot. Look, there's 15% there. And so that is a big deal whenever you have that much evasion. Unless you have like no evasion pieces of gear, then it's a complete waste. So with Ruthless, you got to rely much more on your passive skill trees. But of course, you're going to need to synergize that somehow. And I would have normally just ran a grace gem or whatever. I can't do that now. So what I needed to do is I needed to have pieces of gear that have a lot of evasion on them, and everything completely changed when I made this purchase on the Cherubim's Malefice. This is where the redemption arc started. I suddenly stopped getting one shot right and left. The armor has something to do with it too, I'm sure, getting some armor, but definitely the evasion. I went from essentially 10% chance to evade attacks to like 40% chance to evade attacks. That makes a world of difference when it comes to like things like getting chain stunned, and of course it made a world of difference just being able to react to anything and use my life flask, which I obviously have outrageously good recovery with this life flask. I then started to figure out some of my gear. I discovered a brand new, I guess we'll go ahead and get into some of the gear while I'm talking about it here. I discovered this unique, I kind of knew about it, but I didn't really know about it, or it was completely off my radar. But it was fun when I started to sort of rediscover some of these, what we would call garbage tier uniques normally. And it was like, wow, dude, that unique's way better than what I have. It's way better than what I'm even looking for on trade. I should just go ahead and buy this. So go ahead and fork out the 2 alchemy orbs. Look at that double. It's like a double rarity roll. Oh my God, like rarity being so good and Ruthless, because the rarity has been essentially artificially cranked down in Ruthless. So you need to sort of bring it back up with having actual rarity on gear. The attack speed is a really good mod, and essentially is like 5 good rolls on boots with the movement speed included in. So I also needed to have evasion on all 3 of these pieces because I need evasion on the gloves, helm, and boots to cap out my all res. Not all res, what I mean to say is my spell suppression, because look here, I just got another point. Look, my resistance is almost perfectly right in shape there. I do want to work on my rings still, but you'll notice that my spell suppression is 90%. This is a really big moment I'm letting you guys witness here. This is the spell suppress cap moment, and life flask gain 3 charges when you suppress spell damage. Dude, that's actually going to be like 5 charges with all the increased flask effect percentages that I have gained. That's a really big point, really big moment in there. So there you go. You guys got to see that. I know that's going to be a world of difference. In fact, it'll probably allow me to maybe even drop things like the entire flask mastery here, and maybe even the whole wheel. I don't know yet what I'm going to do, but for now I'm just going to tell you the rest of this stuff. I did go ahead and fork out an alch or 2 for the boots each, the boots, the helm, and the gloves to get these things figured out. I went ahead and 4-linked my own gear. So this is another big change that happened at the very end of day 2 is I started to realize it's getting enough gold. It was much better to buy things on trade that were not pre-4-linked and just find the better item and link it myself. It's not that expensive. It's not that hard to 4-link something. And jeweler's orbs, by the way, the 6 socketed items, they drop. I see a 6 socket item drop like every other map. Jeweler's orbs, actually, in the end, I think are going to be pretty cheap. The fusing orb's probably going to be pretty expensive, though. And again, I think gold is going to be traded for them en masse throughout the league. So these gloves are really good. Again, rarity. I'm prioritizing rarity in a major way. You guys can't tell. Still using that same shield that I had, although I have in mind, I kind of want to replace this shield. I am looking for a shield that's more functional, going to offer more block. I might go for a unique shield, actually. We'll see. Now, here's a really good item I got. I actually found this amulet while I was thinking about buying it anyway. I get 40% increased damage for poison and 9% poison duration with this amulet, and 7% life, and a nice intelligence and dex roll. And check out the anointment here. This is an anointment that I have planned for my leveling league start for next league, and I figured this is probably going to be the end game anointment for my character because all it costs is a verdant, violet, and black oil. Incredibly cheap for all of those bonuses. Look at that, 5% block, 30% physical attack damage while holding a shield. Doesn't really matter, but 30% damage with ailments while holding a shield definitely translate purely to damage, and then unlocking endurance charges. Okay, well that's just some huge survivability on top of what I mentioned with the whole evasion and armor situation. I even went so far as to prioritize a helmet that had a high evasion base roll because the helmet is another sneaky way you can get a lot of evasion into your build. So I went, this wasn't really the best rolled helmet ever, but I think I only paid like 1 or 2 alks for this anyway. You can find that you're able to buy most rares, like pretty decent rares, for just 1 alchemy, or alk orbs are worth that much. And yeah, I know you can't really find them very easily, but you find things once in a while that you can sell for an alk orb. Gems, are a big part of that. Also, purchasing a jade flask, definitely a big deal. The jade flask has even just one support or utility flask has surprisingly high uptime. Again, I think Pathfinder is sort of a pretty good sleeper pick for Ruthless because the flask situation, usually, at the end game, flasks don't matter. You don't need the Pathfinder's bonus to flask. It doesn't really mean anything except the flask effect. But as far as the duration and charges gained and everything, that doesn't matter because it's all overkill anyway once you get good enough gear. But here, especially in the early game, it matters a lot. You get a lot of benefit out of all the flask charges gained, increased duration, things like that. Still sporting double Quicksilver because I like moving fast. Even if the game tells me not to move fast, I'm going to do it anyway. This was another belt that I found. So the belt, the amulet, and the shield, as well as this ring, and this ring, as a matter of fact, are things I found. So basically, I found everything except the boots, gloves, and helmet, and I needed to get that situation figured out because I wanted rarity. I wanted, I figured I'd just get my resistances figured out there, and I needed them all to be evasion bases. I kept sporting things with like an armor and energy shield bases. It was kind of ruining my evasion situation, and that's where all the problems derived from in the first place. So I got things figured out pretty nicely. You're going to see in a map showcase, which I figure I'll go ahead and do. We're going to run the very first tier 5 map that I found here, and again, this is the very beginning of day 3, but it's basically a day 2 recap. Before I do that, go to the Atlas passage here. I was gonna go get Alva over here first, but I really didn't want to waste those 4 points. Essences, unsure whether they're really worth it. Harbinger is not dropping so many shards as I thought. Okay, yeah, I'll show you how many shards. I've killed 3 Harbingers so far. After 3 Harbingers, I've got 9 Horizon shards, 1 Ancient shard, and 1 Fracturing shard. That'll give you some idea what to expect as far as how many shards. For the essences, I've found 2. And they don't even sell. Only Contempt. I don't want to roll them myself because I don't get any usage out of this. I can't sell these, even for an alk orb, apparently. Really disappointing. I don't understand how that's not selling for an alk orb, but I don't know. Maybe. Whatever. Let's see. So, we're back in here. And, of course, the shaping of the skies, shaping the mountains, valleys, and seas are super premium points. I'll get there. I'm definitely moving up here to get the 2% Keurig. Then I'll follow up with these 2. I think I'll probably go down to Solidarity next. That'll give me 3.5% chance for Keurig mission on thing. And then, honestly, I'll probably go down to Planar Tactician over here for a total of 5% chance to give me a Keurig mission at the end. Also, this is really good. This is one reason why I think going up the middle is actually superior than going the other way. I mean, you could go this way, but as a matter of fact, if you prioritize Alpha over the other Masters, I think this is even more impactful than just adding 4%. It does mean, however, that I'm not ever finding... I still haven't found Einar on any map since we started Act 2. I have not seen him yet, which is insane. I saw him like 10 times when I did the practice test run before, and I have now progressed beyond the practice test run. In the practice test run, I made it to like tier 3, tier 4 maps, only did a few. Gear didn't look anywhere near this good, yeah, my big, again, recap on my big breakthrough moment was purchasing Cherubim's Maleficent for only 2 alks. There was one up for 5 alks. It's not a very desirable chest because the meta doesn't call for it. But I will eventually 5-link this pretty easily, I think. I mean, I'll be able to 6-socket it easily. I'll probably be able to 5-link it without too much trouble. I don't know about 6-link, though. Of course, the percent damage is super strong here as well. But this is just kind of a middle-of-the-road chest for poison concoction on the regular game, which makes it an ultra high tier item for Ruthless with gold on day 2 anyway. Yeah, check out Malagara's Cruelty. I think it's actually a pretty good choice for amulet. Amulet slots are super premium. It's hard to find anything worth anything or get your hands on it without paying an absolute fortune. So I think this is a great option for, I mean, it's only 1 alk orb for this, for absolutely recommend. And it gives you permission, effectively, to anoint it because you actually have a real amulet. So anointing it doesn't feel bad. Yeah, so next upgrades are probably going to be the rings. I'll have to juggle the resistance situation, but the rings will be the next upgrades, and the shield also, and the belt. I might go for Bisco's leash at some point, honestly. Yeah, might drop a Quicksilver too. Not really sure what to do with the flask. I wonder if you guys have any recommendations. But anyway, let's do this Ivory Temple, which I don't even remember the map. I'm going to run an Alva here. Check out the Alva Temple situation. Pretty crazy. I think I'll probably make a video highlighting my first Alva. Sacrificial Chamber, Corruption Chamber, and Gem Cutter's Workshop with a Tier 2 Sanctum of Unity in the middle. I'd like to check out the Vault. I'm wondering how that plays out. I would love to get the map one, but I don't see that. Not sure what I'm going to do with some of the... Oh, I do see it right here, Surveyor Study. Yeah, so I got a lot of great things going on here. We'll see what kind of rooms I get. Here comes a map showcase. So you remember I was just talking about how terribly squishy my character was. So think about, you know, just imagine every single monster, literally every monster I encounter is deadly. In fact, the least deadly monsters were the ones that cast spells when I wasn't even spell cap or spell resist cap, and they were the least deadly. But now I am a tank. I have gone from le squish to le tank. If there are any monsters. Wow, I guess we're going to start with a breach. Oh, I remember this map, yeah. So breach monsters are some of the most rippy monsters in the campaign. So you can see, you know, how this might go. Could be really bad. Actually, it's not really spawning very many monsters. But things die pretty quick. And I don't die very quickly, which is new. Wow, that guy. I went ahead and dropped my banner there, gave me adrenaline for 1.5 seconds. Pretty crazy. I love this sort of adrenaline buff that you get for dropping your banner on War Banner. It's pretty sick. And I actually get some value out of the accuracy as well. So there you go. I was able to handle that. Oh, wow, I already got an Orb of Alteration. You might be wondering, what kind of stuff do I typically see in maps? Well, I typically see, I think on average, probably one currency drop every map on average. One. Now, I think I'm going to switch this over to... no, actually, I'm thinking about switching over in case I got the... Now, right there, you just saw me walk into, and I basically took a melee hit from like 7 monsters at once. But I'm fine. I didn't die. Somehow didn't die. Because I am tanky. And that guy's really tanky, my god. Having a bit of a time issue, but I think I have enough to... Actually, I don't really... No, there's nothing important to connect anyway. Just killing these guys and hopefully that I drop a map, maybe. Well, 2/3 of it done. I haven't done many alvas, so I'm not really sure what to expect. The drops and nothing there. Oh, gotta pick up my banner again. I forgot to mention the links here. Hopefully I remember to do that at the end. I mean, I'm able to play... This is super comfy. You see I have all the charges. Power charges, by the way, don't really mean anything except for the synergy with the amulet. The amulet gives me power charges. It gives me, what, with 3 charges, 9% increased poison duration. Nothing super major. But it doesn't matter, you know, rare monsters, magic monsters, they all die pretty quickly. The endurance charges aren't super reliable yet, which is fine. I am going to start moving to the next phase of... Okay, so this is my second currency item now. I found an Orb of Alteration and an Orb of Chance, which makes this basically better than usual. I typically find a gem like once every other map, whether regular gem or support gem. And support gems are legit worth like 1 or 2 alchemy orbs. So that feels nice. I typically find about 5k gold every map at this stage, around tier 4, tier 5. You see I'll pick up around 1,000 or 1,500, and then I'll have like another 3k or something to sell. Well, that looks kind of dangerous right there. I'm gonna barrel my way in. I would have never been able to do that before I got stuff figured out. Okay, gem cutters is really good because I may just straight up get gems. I don't care about the lapidary lens. I just want some gems, man. Give me some gems. Alright, again, the stone thing doesn't really matter here. So being able to meet the timer is kind of challenging, I think. You know, if you're first starting to do Alva, in the practice test run, I wasn't able to make the timer here, but I totally cleared that. No problem. No problem. Let's see, I really hope this is the center room of the Sanctum. A peninsula map? Oh my god, we got our first yellow map. Is that a yellow map? I want to see that yellow color. Oh, there it is. Nice, nice, nice. Oh wow, this is another big hit. This is maps I'm looking forward to seeing. This could end up being a tier 3 map room, which would be super sick. Unless it doesn't really mean anything on Ruthless, but I hope it does. I do have it connected already. I think I'll connect this to the... Well, I should connect it to the corruption chamber, I guess. Try to unlock all the rooms. What in the world? Man, I dropped my banner and that guy still didn't die. Some of the rares are really tanky. They remind you of the Arch Nemesis days. Oh, okay. So, I mean, this right here, you see, I just get surrounded by blue monsters. I mean, I would be dead in not even half a second before. Like, I can't stress this enough. I mean, it's fun. Like, I'm actually having fun. I'm feeling reinvigorated. My character went from, like, getting completely wrecked to completely wrecking everything else. And, yeah, that feels good. Absolutely. I'm honestly a pretty big fan of this mode. I think I am definitely one of those people who would actually prefer the game to be a bit more challenging, or what some people call tedious, because I like putting in a little extra time for things and feeling more rewarded for that time put in. That's just the way I prefer most of my gameplay, in whatever game I'm playing. I don't like it when things come so easily, and you know everyone is able to get things easily, and nothing is really that hard to accomplish. Doesn't really mean as much. Some of you share that sentiment, I'm sure. Some of you probably don't so much. Alright, so my stone golem died. That's not surprising. So before I do the boss room, I want to have 50 stacks for the banner. Okay, this ring. Here we go. I can't remember what the boss does, so I may die, but I'm going to try to pull this off. So oh, it's these guys. Oh man, they're... Huh. I tried to pull off the banner and just spank them, but that was rough. I didn't expect... Is this normally 2 bosses? I don't know, they're possessed. Ah, that's just disappointing. No map. No map, why? Alright, well that map's done. You can see I ended up collecting 2,500 gold. More gold because of Alva there. But kind of give you a sense of how much gold I'm getting each map, because You can kind of get a sense of how much currency I'm making otherwise. Increase max cold and elemental viz. I don't think that's probably worth anything. Of course, we're going to check every single rare because you never know when you get a rare that's like crazy strong. And that's exciting. Another cool thing I obviously like about Ruthless, that loot is meaningful. And it's surprising. I find myself in a situation where I feel good about checking all these rares. And the weapons not so much, but definitely the armors. Because you never know. You get something good. So let's see how much gold this is. Over 5,000. So if you take Alva out of the equation, it's around 5,000. Maybe a little more. And this is only like tier 5. So who knows? Tier 6 is coming up next, I guess. So we'll put this point here. And let's go over some of the gems. Alright, so the 4-link, quintessential 4-link is Poison Concoction, Greater Volley, and Greater Multiple Projectiles, and then Unbound Ailments. The 5th link would be Void Manipulation Support or Vicious Projectile Support. Those two interchangeable. I'd have to check on the PoB. My personal liking of a 4-link here is spreading increased area of effect support out along Plague Bearer and a Temp Chains cast when damage taken setup. It's level 3, level 7. Fits perfect, so it works for both. One of the side effects of me taking way less damage is the Temp Chains goes off less, but that's alright. You know, if you watch the replay, I'm sure it went off on those bosses multiple times. Another 4-link would be Wither, combined with Spell Totem support, multiple totem support, and faster casting, I guess. But, you know, who really cares about that last one? It's not that important. The 3 of these together is nice. It allows you to set up not 1, but 3 totems. And that works out nice. The withers go out really fast and efficiently there. We've got Blood Rage, we've got Summon Stone Golem, which isn't really part of my main links, but Ruthless with gold, the Stone Golem feels good to get that extra 95 regen. And then the other 2 are just War Banner and Herald of Agony. The next gem I purchased, definitely going to be Purity of Elements, which is something like 12 Alch Orbs at this point. I don't think it'll take me too long to find that, but that's going to be a big deal. I'm a little surprised I didn't prioritize that more, but I don't like getting shocked, ignited, and chilled and frozen all the time, which Ruthless tends to do. However, again, once you start getting tankier and stuff, it happens a bit less. That is definitely going to be a huge deal. You can see I have plenty of reservation room for it. In the end, I probably have to drop War Banner, and then I get Herald of Agony, Purity of Elements. Oh, I dropped Vitality too. Herald of Agony, Purity of Elements, and Grace. And I think I either lose Vitality or War Banner there. Not really sure, but I can get Grace fit in if I swap for the or get the Grace reservation efficiency. So the next move's down here. I basically have everything done now. For my next step is to start going down here. I think I will eventually begin to pull points out of things like Weathered Hunter, maybe even Survivalist. Might pull points out of Replenishing Remedies, and start making my way down here for the Deflection, Dirty Techniques, and Testudo, I guess you call that, for more just sort of shield-based defenses. And that's about it. Well, there's my story. That's how day 2 went. Very interesting indeed. So, yeah, quick recap. Purity of Elements coming next. Ring Replacements coming next. I'm going to continue to actually successfully level, whereas I was stuck around level 71, 72 because I had such major issues with defenses. Got that all figured out. Damage is good, especially once I get a 5-link. Damage is going to look really nice. I don't really need to prioritize damage in any sort of significant way. I think we're totally fine there. Rarity, I already got more than enough rarity. More rarity than I bargained for. I could get a gold flask in here even. Maybe we'll see. Let me know how your day 2 is going. Are you enjoying Ruthless? Yeah, in conclusion, I want to know if you're enjoying Ruthless, if you are completely sitting it out, what kind of how you feel about Ruthless with things, you know, being more tedious, as they say. And how do you feel about the gold thing? I'm really curious because the gold thing is a bit. I mentioned that I wasn't really about it before. I'm starting to come around a little bit as I see how it is. It seems to be price pointing the fusings, and I think that's going to come around and be a little more stable. But yeah, what's your best thing you gambled? I did gamble some boots once, but that was about it. Yeah. All right, well, we'll see you in the next video, maybe a day 3. Perhaps if anything interesting happens in day 3, if I'm able to make any big moves. I definitely made some big moves in day 2, so I came out with this video. I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.